So Georgia has a relationship with Azerbaijan and Turkey, sometimes a strategic relationship. And we might talk a little bit about this later, but I wanted to ask in this context, in a sense, Pashinyan is also trying to align Armenia's relationships east-west rather than north-south. But our entire perception of Turkey is colored by the genocide of 1915. So we have a giant hang-up about that issue because it's never been recognized. So most of us think, how could we be friends with a country that doesn't even acknowledge the genocide? How is Georgia's perception of its east and west neighbors? Do you have the same coloring? Do you have the same experience? Do you bring the same kind of historical baggage? And I don't mean that negatively, because I believe, for example, for myself, that this is baggage that needs to be with us. But how do you have those relationships?
And to add to that, do you believe that Georgia's current strong relationship with Turkey and Azerbaijan contributes to that lack of strong communication or strong, I guess, solidarity between Georgians and Armenians? Is another factor that contributes to that?
Okay, let me start from the beginning then. I perfectly know that the issue of genocide is very painful especially for those Armenians who live in Armenia. And every time we start speaking, this is the moment when they say but, and usually this is the over. Georgia definitely has the same baggage. I mean, positive, negative, but usually when they speak about Russia, I mean, you should, well, first of all, keep in mind, when we speak about Georgians, we should differentiate it between politically motivated people, what I call politically bemoaned in the city center and the rest of the Georgia. So political bemoaned and those people who are involved in these debates, for them, of course, they start saying how bad Russia is, like from 1783, from Georgist Treaty. They remind every single word, you know. So I mean, they give argument of their hatred to Russia from like years and years that before Soviet Union. On the other hand, you will be actually surprised, but if you go to Ajara region, where there are so many Georgians whose ancestors lived under Ottoman Empire rule, they will tell you that the Russia is not enemy, Turkey is enemy. And they are really afraid of Turkey. This is not something that is highly spoken about, but if you just read a few statements by the ambassador of Turkey to Georgia, she continuously speaks about Turkophobia in Georgia. And the reason is that, there are really nice articles by Eurasian Net by Joshua Kutsera about the investment of Turkish money to Ajara region and how locals are afraid that, and especially in the wake of Erdogan's some statements that Batumi used to belong to Turkey, that they are really afraid. But, and here the but, it's sometimes very complicated to me to explain my colleagues from Yerevan that we do not perceive Turkey in the same way. I mean, I know they always ask me, don't you afraid that Erdogan will enter into Georgia with military forces, that they will occupy Batumi? I said, no. This is not the same perception, because there is no reason for Erdogan to occupy Ajara region, because from financial standpoint, 90% of all income belongs to Turkey. There is no sense of occupying the land. If you're asking me in general, it's insane. There is no reason to do it.
Yeah.
Do I believe that NATO member states will attack Georgia that is striving to become NATO? Of course not. So we are not afraid in the same way, but we have our fear to Russia, you know, more than to Turkey.
Interesting, because certainly the discourse of Erdogan coming to Yerevan in half an hour, an invasion within half an hour, is part of our political landscape all the time.
And my personal, I mean, the personal nightmares of probably most Armenians who are politically aware.
It's very alive and strong.
One thing, if you let me, I want to just finish the Hovik's question about whether this Azerbaijan-Turkish and Georgian friendship somehow affects the Georgian and Armenian relations. Well, I always say you should keep in mind the one reason, one question. Georgian-Turkish relations are based purely not only on strategic partnership, but also on very precise ideological understanding that Turkey equals NATO. NATO equals the West equals US. So this is this chain. If you don't understand this chain, you may not understand why Georgia is communicating with Turkey. This is not the issue that Georgia loves Turkey, but because it understands that it needs to border with a NATO member, because there is no border with the members of European country. About Azerbaijan, because some of my colleagues in Armenia don't know the history of Georgia, so Georgia was heavily dependent on Russian energy resources. In 2006, we had this war. They turned off gas, light, everything. So Georgia was in need to dramatically find another way to supply. We couldn't take it from Iran. You probably know why. So we now only almost on 100% we're totally reliant on Azerbaijan. So for us, Azerbaijan is extremely important to ensure our security from Russia. That is why this chain exists. But the relationship with Armenia is totally different. The reason why we don't have such strategic is, first of all, because Armenia itself was mainly focused on Russia. On Azerbaijan, let's be fair. I mean, how many times I heard from Armenians before the war that you Georgians are naive, stupid, you voted for West, you lost war in 2008. Look at us. We are secure, we will beat Azerbaijan. Now they changed their mind, but this was the attitude. That is why it's not only about the Georgia. I think it was mutually. Georgia thinks that, we don't need Armenia. We can go along with the West or with America. And Armenians think, we don't need Georgia. We will go with Russia. But now we found out that it's not as simple as that.
I think that's very interesting, the way you put the previous point about the level of trust, where you said there's the West, it means NATO, it means Turkey. And coming off to Georgia, we think almost exactly differently. If we want to have more West, but that means Turkey. And we cannot try. So the West earns a level of distrust because it means Turkey.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I think
it totally works the other way.
Culturally, most Armenians, I would say, perceive themselves to be part of the European culture and part of Europe. But exactly what is stopping us is what Asbed said, which is
Turkey.
In the South Caucasus, Europe means
Hope you
Turkey.
enjoyed this clip from our podcast. Click on the link to listen to the entire episode. And remember, your support helps us get the word out. So please donate to us at podcasts.groon.org or scan the barcode on your screen. Please like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our content with your network. Thanks in advance.